can
Thank you.
introduce yourself and take some questions.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. I won't take that long. Again, thank you, everyone. It's great to be here with you all. I'm here today as California's first LGBTQ statewide elected official, and I'm also the first Latino insurance commissioner, and I'm proud to be running for re-election. As Democrats, we know that representation matters. As a matter of fact, I'm the only California statewide constitutional officer from LA County. So we gotta keep fighting for more representation. We don't have time for divisiveness in our party. We must focus on fighting Republican extremism. I'm proud to be the only candidate endorsed by our California firefighters that I've been working with for the past 3.5 years to fight these wildfires, SEIU, California Teachers Association, Planned Parenthood, among others. And breaking down barriers can sometimes elicit political motivated attacks and lies. It is campaign season after all. Instead, I'm going to focus my time on telling you what I've done for you all as your insurance commissioner. As commissioner, I've taken on the insurance industry, resulting in almost $3 billion back directly to consumers' pockets. I was the first insurance commissioner in the country to order insurance companies to provide reimbursements to California motorists and also include our businesses around the state. I've been addressing the devastating effects of climate change and our horrific wildfires, as I said, some of the worst in our history. That is why I created the first ever climate insurance working group made up of environmental leaders to work with me on ongoing wildfire threats, sea level rise, extreme heat. I'm protecting wildfire victims from being dropped by their insurance companies, protected more than 2.1 million policyholders throughout the entire state of California. And although it stalled in the assembly, I remain committed in our fight for single payer healthcare. As you know, I proudly authored SB 562 when I was in the Senate to create a single healthcare payer system. I also authored Health for All Kids, extending healthcare to our immigrant children. Today, I'm very proud to say that over 100,000 undocumented children have full scope Medi-Cal. This is important to me, something that I'm passionate about and something that I lived through with my undocumented parents back when I was a child. We must keep fighting. I will. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege. And I don't care who I piss off, even if it's billionaires like Elon Musk who want to get in a Twitter war with me over consumer protections that I have in my department. I'm here fighting alongside all of you for our progressive values that we share, no matter who is attacking me, no matter what their political agenda is. You know my work, you know my values. Again, I'm going to humbly ask you for your support once again in my re-election, as I look forward to seeing you all at the virtual convention. Thank you. Y buenas noches. Thank you again for allowing me to jump ahead a little. We're jumping up and down the state today. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If you have a few minutes, I think some of our members might have some questions.
Absolutely.
If anyone wants to ask a question, please raise your Zoom hand. Okay, Cynthia Hart.
Oh, hi. I just wondered if you commit to not taking money from insurance companies and not taking money from law enforcement interests.
Absolutely. Yes and yes. I've signed that pledge already and commit myself again to doing so. Thank you.
And I guess I'll be the vehicle for another question, which is this business about adjusting rates based on climate risk, which has been in the news the last week. I'll put a story in the chat. I think I read about it on Salon, but it's everywhere. Can you explain what that is and what your position is on it?
On what, Jeff, again? I'm sorry.
Sure. I'm sorry, I may be a little too elliptical about this. This thing I read this week is that, well, let me just read from this article. It says, this is the Cal Matters. It says, Draft recommendations from the Climate Insurance Working Group established to advise State Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara suggest allowing a contentious move to let insurance companies adjust premiums based on projections from natural catastrophe models.
Right. That is from the working group that I created on climate insurance. We're still reviewing all the recommendations. Obviously, we have to make sure that we are looking at how we build, where we build, with what materials we build, and take into consideration climate change and wildfire risk in particularly. So also some of the recommendations around there say that we shouldn't be building out, we should be investing in the core. So we're looking at all those recommendations, but this is exactly what we want. We need to have these tough discussions and to figure out how we implement climate change as we build, as we develop, and have those conversations with local land use city councils and land use professionals, because we have to start dealing with our ever-changing climate.
Yeah, I guess this is not probably a simple question, but it seems to me that, I mean, I definitely am in favor of, forcing developers to bear more of the costs of sprawl environmentally, but it feels like as the world becomes a more dangerous place because of our use of fossil fuels, insurance companies will increase profits rather
Yeah. So what I do not want to happen is to allow them to just haphazardly use their catastrophe models, where they're just not even allowing to have city councils, thought leaders, even within the department, be able to see this information and data points and what algorithms are using. So I'm very kind of sketch about giving them any authority to just haphazardly raise rates without getting anything for the consumer.
I think Mayor Daniel Lee, and then we'll move on. Thanks again.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a quick follow-up, and I don't want to get too in the weeds, but I'm curious what mechanism you would use, because we've seen as a result of the pandemic, people talk a whole lot about inflation, but a lot of the same folks who are talking about inflation have been reaping record profits at the expense of working class people. So what mechanism would you use in this context of insurance as it relates to climate change to make sure that any type of increases are based in fact and not based in the desire for more profit? There was a story that came out in, I think, ProPublica earlier this week that said that the places that are most likely to flood as a result of climate change in the United States are places where African-American people live because of the history of residential segregation.
Right.
How can we make sure that the environmental racism that's been more or less public policy on the local, state, and federal level for a long time in this country does not continue to detrimentally impact people of color as climate change becomes more intense? And don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm more interested in the type of mechanisms that you would use to prevent that rather than your commitment to prevent them.
No, I understand. So quickly, we have an entire department, our financial surveillance department, which looks at all the rates from the insurance companies and all the lines that we oversee, and review not only mathematically, but with actuaries and professionals to look at what the justification is for these rates. And then after that, we approve them or else negotiate a lower premium for them. When it comes to climate change specifically, and I'll tell you, even with the pandemic, why I'm so proud to be the first insurance commissioner to mandate that insurance companies give these refunds was exactly that. We saw that they were reaping massive profits, but yet still charging consumers the same rate as they were driving under pre-COVID days. And so again, $3 billion back to consumers. In the climate change space, what our climate insurance working group is working on is exactly that, investing in how do we use insurance and financial strategies to protect not only our climate, but we actually protect lives by investing in natural infrastructure, rebuilding back our ecosystems, our wetlands, our coastal marshes that absorb water from sea level rise. And by the way, every single California county at one point has been declared a national state disaster because of flooding. So this is a real issue for us. Looking again, how we force insurance companies into these dialogues is what exactly we're doing. And so we're spearheading this at the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. I'm fighting on getting transparency on their fossil fuel investments. And we're about to approve TCFD guidelines, which are going to be critical. And we're doing this at a national level. So we continue to work on not only holding insurance companies accountable, looking at where their investments are, and forcing them to give money back after they reap these profits, even during this pandemic.
Okay, great. So I think we're going to move on to our next guest, but thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Hope to see you again.
Bye-bye.
So last but not least,